Good afternoon, everyone. Let's begin. It is, I have it as 2:03 on April 7th, 2025. This is the Town Real Estate Assessment Committee. First item on the agenda, why don't we do a call to order, which is what we're doing now. So then let's get to the approval of the agenda. Let's see, I assume everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda, so board members, can I have a motion to approve the agenda with one change, and that is that we are not going to do the minutes today. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Motion made and second. We're gonna do roll call vote. Okay, Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Thomas Barata,
Aye.
Lee Saperstein,
Aye.
and the chair, John Brusher, votes aye as well. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. Seeing as there are no members of the public here or wishing to comment, let's move on to real estate matters. All right, Tracy, you want to bring us up to speed on the unnamed way between Vestal and Hawthorne?
Sure. First, I'm going to say this meeting is being audio and video recorded.
It is.
Okay. So can I share my screen?
You probably can, you have to join separately on
Oh, I do.
Zoom.
Hold
You can just click the link. Join separately.
hold
on Zoom.
Hold the fort here, guys.
Then I'll let you in and make you a co-host. I forgot that we are in the owl and it looks like you're there, but you're not really there.
Oh, I leave my audio off, right? And my video.
Yeah, hit join.
Yeah.
So I can let you in. And then mute yourself on your computer.
Recording in progress.
I'm echoing, but I am muted.
A little feedback.
Share. All right, so first, this is the GIS. Oh wait, where is it? Not
Oh,
happening.
it's just showing, you selected the wrong page because it's showing the launching one. Close that page.
Technical
down.
difficulties.
It's always harder.
I got like 4,000.
My house.
All right. Stop share. I'm gonna find what I need first.
Oh, yeah, open it first.
Oh, find that one.
Just
I
not
will open all the
registered.
pages that
Right.
you wanna,
Oh.
share today.
All right, so nothing.
Click it yet
I
first
just
and
erased
click
all
here.
of it.
Yeah, it should start.
All right, now we're in business. Okay, so, so I got a call, so this was a warrant article approved in 2021. I believe it was a citizen warrant article. And then, you know, there was kind of a moratorium on yard sales and nothing seemed to happen. And then last year I got a call from the owner at 70 here asking, you know, what's the next step in the process? And I explained to him that I want to start doing some of these as groups and that this looked like a perfect example of that. And it turns out that this property here and I believe his property are registered. And there
Yeah.
might be one other that are registered. So they have developed a plan. And it's kind of still in a draft version. And the at least two owners who are land court are going to deregister in advance.
Okay.
And then the idea is that we would do the taking.
Question, is the GIS accurate or is that paper street literally go all the way over to Vestal?
It goes from, it's not opened up.
No.
At this end, this one is obviously,
It looks like that where you're, looks like that property owns the paper, I mean, it's
They-
tied to the
they
paper
don't.
street.
yeah, they're,
I'm not saying it's open or anything for use, I'm not asking for that, I'm just asking if.
so
that-
this driveway, this driveway is using the portion of the paper road to get to
Okay.
there.
All right.
Um,
Okay, 'cause
and then-
it looks like it's a U on the property. It looks like that property there
right,
goes down to the paper street. So the GIS is not labeled correctly.
no, but it's this property here, that's their
Yep,
driveway.
yep, understand.
And then everybody else doesn't really use the paper road
Yep.
for any access. However, this one actually, I feel like their building is kind of encroaching into the paper road.
Okay.
But they've all come up with an agreement.
No, I understand. I just make,
Yeah.
because this is why, this is the difference between a plot plan and
Yeah,
That's
so
a
now
GIS,
I'm
so
gonna
it-
show you the actual plan now.
Tracy,
Yeah,
this is Lee, and I've got a backup to Thomas's question.
okay,
Yes, with this plan, if you can make it larger so we can see it.
there we go.
There
Yeah.
are parcels A and B that belong to the property to the southeast, and parcel G, which belongs to the, or is adjacent, abuts to the property to the northwest. Who owns those parcels now?
nobody, they're part of the paper road. So we're gonna take them, Lee. That's part of what we're talking about here.
Okay,
So,
and so that then
This one.
is a portion of Thomas's question, because if you go down to the other parcels, C, D, E, and F,
yeah,
you're saying those are all part of the paper road?
they are. For some reason up here in this end, it was like 30 feet supposedly,
Yeah.
and then it narrowed down. So the question, and by the way, this is only identified on the land court. So these two parcels, 70 and 73 or 72, I can't read that, but
Yeah,
70.
73.
73, their land court, and that section is identified on their land court plan.
Yes.
And so if they deregister, that's what makes this whole thing a little bit easier as well. Also, in their original draft plan, they didn't include this H and I. But the layout of Vestal is kind of like it would have just left those pieces hanging out there.
Yeah,
And since the driveway kind of crosses over there, I suggested that they add those in.
This is Heidi Drew's property.
It is, yeah.
Didn't we do something for that? Like, we had that like a year ago.
Maybe it was, we haven't taken this yet.
Okay,
So-
I remember we had. Okay,
Maybe
That's
she can, maybe she,
maybe it
Yeah.
changed. No.
Lee, is your
So
hand
if I
still up?
understand it, Tracy, our potential action today is to authorize the taking of parcels A through I.
action today is to review the plan. Because they want to be able to finalize it and submit it to planning board. And so I'm looking for the recommendation to move it forward to that process. And then we'll do a separate matter to actually do the taking when we get to that point.
Okay, but it is parcels A through I.
Well, if you guys think that works, it will be A through I, yep.
So, for what it's worth, I generally don't have any concerns with this, but for the fact that I think this is an interesting, I think this is an interesting example in that I don't think anybody has seen what the deregistration process looks like. And so I would almost be curious to have whoever's representing 70 and 73, assuming they really want to go through with this, asking them what would be easier, or have them talk to the land court,
What happens
because
first?
part of me wonders if it would be easier for us to do the taking after the deregistration. And
Yeah.
again, I don't know that I have an opinion one way or the other, but for the fact that this is potentially our first real example of deregistration and paper streets. And I'm curious what the court would say about what they think the order of operations should be. That's-
Yeah, I mean, I was also thinking, John, that that's the way it should go.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't want to vote today on the actual taking
That's-
and just do it as a
Brilliant,
review.
I-
So the reason why Jessie Bell is recused is because she is doing the deregistration for 70, I believe.
Interesting.
I have an appointment with Heidi tomorrow to
Great.
review this, her side. I don't know who's representing her.
Okay, I think I might know, but okay. We can talk offline about that.
Follow-up question to John, which I was actually almost asking the same question, but not quite. That's exactly the line of thinking I was having as far as like what comes first.
Hmm,
If you have multiple properties that are all registered, because you talked about this when this all came up with this
Yeah.
deregistering thing. One of the things that you said, Tracy, was we have properties that have some are registered and then there's something connected to non-registered. And you have this little sliver that's making it take forever because this is not registered.
Right,
Now
so,
you have this entire road is in registered land. We haven't had that yet. Well,
no, that's
since
not
the-
true. These ones, these lower ones are unregistered.
oh, they are.
Yeah,
So how many
so what's
different
interesting,
properties are there for different attorneys to be doing all the same work?
so I think most are being represented by the same person, but what's different about this is what makes this top part wider is weird because that's actually shown on the land court plan. And then you get down to this unregistered portion here, it becomes skinny.
right.
So, my first question to them was this some sort of pedestrian way? When
Right.
they first came to me, I wanted to know because that kind of screams as sort of a pedestrian path.
Yep.
But, and then, of course, these pieces here that were sort of left out. And are not part of, I asked the surveyor, the engineer to confirm that they were not part of the town layout. But because the driveway crosses over, who would be granting her an easement over that if it was just hanging out there? So,
And this,
so it will be interesting to see because like you said, John, this little portion here, when she goes to deregister,
Yeah.
if the whole piece wasn't deregistered, how would that play out?
I mean, I guess where I'm ultimately coming down on this is I don't really have an issue if they want to go in front of planning just to get this plan endorsed, but I would certainly hold off on anything further until they have a real honest conversation with land court about process. That's,
does any portion of this qualify as a ghost street?
I don't know.
Cause is that two road or two parcels showing up on any other plans besides the land court plan?
I haven't dug deep into that. to
That
see
would be my, kind of weird question, because like, that's common. And there are some of those that don't show up on some and others they do. This is way after the Westchester Street, the Crooked Lane sort of weird thing.
Yeah.
This is way up past,
Yeah, this is
this is up
between,
by, whatchamacallit, just before you get to, Ray Owens.
yeah,
Yep.
it's like between Milk and,
Yeah, all right,
that intersection there.
okay.
So I guess like what I'd be looking for today is exactly what John said. We would be recommending it for execution, but pending the deregistration.
In a
process for
in a
taking.
tandem action, needs to be. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't, we wanna look smart sending this stuff.
I know.
This should,
Yeah.
John's onto something, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but having this deregistered before the taking. In other words, taking it and then going to land court to deregister seems backwards a little bit. I don't know.
Nat, I think that's right. I think the chief title examiner has taken the position that if you deregister a parcel and it abuts a private way, the deregistration extends to that portion of the private way. So if both of these deregister simultaneously by that same, same logic,
Yeah.
parcels A and G would then be deregistered, at which point I think that's when I think they'd
Do the-
rather us do the taking then.
Yeah.
And do the disposition, because otherwise, if we take it now, they deregister. They need the assent from the town, or maybe they need
Right.
the town to join in on the deregistration. It's another layer of bureaucracy that the
Yeah.
homeowners may not want or need.
Well, Jesse Glidden did, Jesse G, this is Jesse B, right? Jesse G now. So
Same.
didn't you guys just do a deregistering on something or no?
We,
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of that.
Richard may have done something or contracted out to somebody to do it. But I don't know if
Has
it's.
Arthur done anything? Does he have any
I think
input?
Arthur's maybe he might
he
have
has.
some things going. I think,
Cause I'm just trying to get a little like, free town council advice here from Arthur or somebody that knows what's going on with
You
this.
don't-
stuff.
Nat, I don't think anybody has followed through. In other words, even if we've submitted, even if our office or Arthur or Sarah's office or if anybody has submitted to the court, I don't think the court has come back with a deregistration yet. So we're
Yeah.
still working through the mechanics, and we all know how it should work,
That's even more of a.
how it should
meeting,
work
but-
in theory. We're waiting to
Yeah.
see what it looks like in practice.
And this is a state new thing for
Yep.
all 351 towns, right? This is not like this is
No.
everywhere. So who has the most experience with this? Probably Nantucket.
well,
Prob-
for me, I felt like this was a good one to get our feet
Yeah,
going on.
Yeah.
Because
I-
it's just a good example. All the homeowners are in agreement,
should be.
to the extent that there is some things to work out, they seem to be a workable group and I think, so anyway, so that's where we're at. So I think if you're gonna vote, it would be, maybe John, you can think of how to craft it and,
Hold on, Lee, what's going on?
I'm just going back to the original question. I have looked at deeds of registered versus recorded land. What does the deed say about this boundary? Is it to the middle of the way or is it to the edge of the way?
good question. I'm just gonna look up like one.
So, I mean, Lee, great question. And going back to this though, I think my recommendation, and you can sort of take it for what it's worth, would be that we can certainly, I don't have any issues with the plan itself. I don't. I would, however, recommend that once the planning board endorses this, or even before even as it's being submitted to planning, that the various attorneys and surveyors, they may want to have a conversation with both the survey and title department of the land court to clarify the process. I mean, it's not, I think it would behoove them to make this as seamless an experience as possible. But it's nothing that we can sort of condition our motions on, but I'm saying that because I will be reluctant to approve or to recommend any order of taking until they've had that conversation and they know that this is the right thing to do, so that we're not creating unintended consequences for the town or for the homeowners.
Okay, and John, you raised the same point that I was. So let me say that in terms of handing this over to the planning board, I'm for that. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys.
And,
It's a charity looking for money.
what are those?
Now, in terms of what we're going to do today, I'm for that. But the question about where the boundary is gets into a complication. If the boundary is the middle of the way, and then we take it, is it ethical to sell it back to them since we took it from them? Or that is to sell it back to them for a price versus $0.
I mean, that's, Lee, that's kind of what the yard sale program is like, we take it and then we convey it back in exchange for the ground cover, which essentially works as like the damages, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, I
So
understand
we're-
that.
We're
Tracy.
we're cleaning up a title issue for them.
Especially the upper one.
I understand all that, but if the title is to the middle of the way, they already own part, well, let's say number 73 already owns parcel G. No, A
I mean,
and B.
I just looked up to number 70. That is not the case for them. They do not own the fee, like the fee. They just own it, by like, derelict statute or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So I'm agreeing with John in my simple language that we know where the boundary is and who owns what before we make any recommendation for taking.
And Heidi's property is unregistered. I'm just looking at them all now. So the 79 at the bottom is registered.
Okay.
79 Milk. Or I guess it's considered 1 Hawthorne Lane. Oh, no, 79 Milk and then 1 Hawthorne is also registered. So it's 3 of them are registered.
All right, well, do you want, do any other board members have any questions on this?
No, I mean,
Any comments?
I think we've asked just about every possible question that could be asked. Tracy, do you?
For now.
Yeah, I think for now, this is, if the recommendation is to get the plan signed and then we'll take a pause.
Can I just have one more?
Yeah.
I think this was already asked by Tom. This is from scratch, right? This is,
Yeah.
nothing's ever been done here, right?
Yeah,
I can't believe this hasn't come up.
well, again, it's a great opportunity. I hate to say it, it's a
This is-
really, it's a
Being
good
a
test.
from
good
scratch
test case.
it is a good opportunity for
It
this.
is, and, definitely nothing's been done because the warrant article only went through in 2021, and then there was, nothing happened with the town,
Okay,
during that timeline.
all right.
Maybe you remember it from town meeting?
No, like, I remember somebody saying that. I remember something because I was like, oh, it's Heidi Drew, do I have a conflict? Cause I know her, and I'm like, no, cause I don't really know her that well, so I was like,
And like I said, I'm gonna meet with her tomorrow, maybe she has other things to
Yeah.
say, but in terms of just the plan and letting it go, letting them file it with planning board, that's the stage we're at. Then we can look at it again later on before we take it. And I have, by the way, probably, I don't know, 11 plans in queue for taking, so.
right. Good.
So,
Gotta keep going till there's none left.
So,
Right?
let's see, Chair John and Tracy, as we move forward, which I recommend that we do, I'd like it to be explicit that, part of the planning is to preserve the walkway. That we recognize that there is a path and that, eventually that will be incorporated into some kind of an easement. We don't even have to say that. All we have to say
Is
is
there a
that.
walk,
If
is there a walkway?
I don't think there's a path there.
Yes,
There's,
it
it's
says
shown
so
on the
down
plan.
the bottom, Tracy.
Huh?
Oh,
Above where it says
says-
parcel C on the plan, it says existing 4-foot wide walking path.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I see that now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
So we're moving this forward and we recognize the existing walkway that will eventually be, made official with some kind of an easement.
All right, so does someone want to make this motion to recommend planning endorsement and with the caveat that we're reserving the right for an easement as needed and that we recommend the parties talk to land court prior to any issuance of an
So in
order?
the simplest, format, John, I would move that this plan be moved forward with the recognition that there is an existing walkway on the plan.
All right, that's it. I hear a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Okay, very good.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Lee Saperstein,
Aye.
Thomas Barata,
aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
the chair votes aye as well. All right,
me
Y'all
tell
in
you
with,
folks,
y'all
now
in with
that- now
John
that
with
we've-
the path, Tracy.
Now that we've dealt
Yep.
with this, I've had my hand lens out in order to read the damn thing. I've just got a simple question. The initials N/F means what?
on the plan we just looked at,
Are you now or formally?
Now or formally? Okay, that makes sense.
I'll buy it.
I don't know. I don't know if it means that, Lee, but
Every property is designated by an owner and then NF.
And that makes sense. I'll buy that.
you buy
all right.
that.
Um,
I
All
mean,
right,
that's
Tracy.
how we write a deed, right? We say now or formally.
Exactly. All right, Tracy, what about our friends in Sconset?
Okie dokie, here we go. This one's,
Let's go to the easy one now.
yeah, this one's complicated. So we'll just bring up the GIS first.
I love looking at that stuff, though.
So, this dates back to like 2009. There was a couple different warrant articles. The original owner, George Cloutier, he's passed away. His widow has been, now inherited the property. It's been, I did take a little look at the probate too. And so it looks like based on warrant articles that the idea was that we did do a taking. We created a bunch of, you sort of like, we're gonna do conveyance of paper roads in between each of these lots that they own. This is the sewer treatment, this is the sewer beds, right? And the railroad bed is this contiguous parcel
Yeah.
that goes through here, and this is the Loran station. So it looks like based on the warrant articles and it's kind of enumerated in the plan, which I'm gonna bring up next. That okay. That the idea was that we would convey, parcel 10, 11, 12, so that they had like cohesive, ownership and ground cover. And then they would, says parcel 13, see it says parcel 14 to be retained by Cloutier. And then they were gonna convey parcel 15 to the town, and I believe parcel 16. And there was some talk of a one big beach. I can't find any real connection between what the one big beach would have been. It just never even seemed to come together. And now here we are, you know, in 2025, looking at this thing, and parcel A and B are a portion of a land court lot 23 that the town owns in fee. And they also own it subject to an order of taking for sewer purposes. And so I've had some discussions, and proposals.
We have that in the email.
You do, yeah. And, so now what we're doing is we're talking about. So back it up a little bit. So they've submitted a ZBA application to use all this ground cover on the basis that they had an agreement. There is no agreement. Like, there's no tangible agreement. There's no license from the town. The town owns parcel A and B, and they now own all the rest through taking. And
A and B is the railroad bed.
and so A and B is the railroad bed, which is, this is an unregistered plan, but it's part of a land court plan that is one big lot 23. And in addition, I'm gonna just kind of scroll down a bit. So here's the order of taking for the paper roads. And then you kind of get down to so here is lot 23 on the land court plan, and that section I've highlighted in yellow is what they've sort of carved out as A and B. So it looks like the thought was that potentially the town would deregister that portion somehow. It becomes very complicated. And I think the second part is the deed from Norwin Farms of lot 20, what becomes lot 23, was for open space purposes. You know, so it just starts getting complicated on how would we actually convey A and B? And is it doable? And is it, you know, the town's time and energy and staffing? It's been since 2009. There's a reason why this fell apart.
Oh, I can see how it's.
Tracy, you confused me. I thought A and B was inviolate, that we would not be conveying A and B, but would be conveying 10 through 16.
No, I think what they want is some contiguous
Yeah, they
thing.
want it to be contiguous, right? Because they want to use the ground cover.
And so.
Which makes sense.
And so
but-
they're going to craft a proposal, and the proposal, so this is just another shot of what is the railroad bed
Yeah,
as one whole land court parcel. And then,
so the town owns this, not
town
the
owns
land
that.
bank, like the one that goes out to Surfside.
no,
Okay,
no.
so, oh boy,
So this is the deed to the town. For, you know, the parcels in here then become lot 23 on the L plan. And so, you know, there's a rather large warrant article at the end here. But it clearly says, you know, open space and recreational use. So,
so they own 2 lots. Beyond the one that's.
They own
abutting the
3.
road.
They
A
own
total of
3.
no,
Yeah.
2 undeveloped lots.
yeah. So then we
Okay.
get to this, so this is the town certificate of title. And you very rarely see
Yeah.
this language at the top. No further instruments are to be recorded on this certificate until such time as a plan is filed with the land court. So, and again, like, let's just, this relates just to the railroad bed. So, so Jesse Bell and I have, and this is just the order of taking for the sewer part. So,
Holy
you
shit.
know, which clearly it's stamped by the Lamb Court, lot 23.
I love seeing these names. Now, do you know who Rogers W. Cabot was?
No.
Excuse me, that's Skip Cabot.
Oh,
But
it
his
is.
name is Rogers.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Of course I know Skip.
that is awesome. Oh
Um,
my God, where's my father's name? Is it up there somewhere?
so we have a price factor. So here's the other part of the scope of this thing. If you were to add up all the square footage of all the different parcels at 775 a square foot, it's pretty pricey, and it's way above the threshold for us just being able to convey. It would definitely be an RFP.
What's the square footage? Okay, let me ask this question. So right now they have their current lot, they have the square footage of that. They theoretically can be able to take parcel 11, which is 7,500 square feet.
And parcel 10.
And where's parcel 10?
It's
Oh,
the
on
side, it's what
Okay,
the old
so-
Elm
okay,
Street
so-
was.
Yep, okay, so they get that, so that's another 5. Then parcel A and B is the railroad, which is the town, but then they own across the bed. And what they wanna do is tie in the other 3, 1, 2, other parcels except for the conveying one.
See that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what we used to look
Yeah,
at.
that was old school.
That's
So-
why we're here.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, yeah.
That
they-
was part of the, I think, the original idea. They would convey the bottom
That's what I think.
and get
And I'm
everything
just saying,
going
I'm
up.
just a simple guy.
But,
They need to do a swap.
it can't work with the railroad bed in between.
Because
But why-
legally, they
alright, but-
can't add the square footage to the main lot because it breaks the plane. So so are they trying to work a deal where they get the square footage allowance so that they can convey the other property to the town? I mean.
So the proposal now, I'm
'cause I
gonna
mean,
go
it's dead
back
in the
up
water
to the
for what they
plan.
wanna do.
So again, I don't have the proposal officially, but what Jesse and I have been talking about is
And
that
Jesse's representing them, or is it?
Jesse Bell is representing the Cloutiers.
Okay,
or
just so.
Mrs. Cloutier
Just making sure it wasn't
specifically.
just a. Okay.
So that the town would get the 2 bottom parcels.
But
But
would-
in
but
exchange,
for
they
the
want the
square footage.
ground cover credit for all of it.
That's
I-
an easy one, in my opinion.
I don't
'cause
want
that
to be the
land is
guy
worth
that
more to the
pisses
town
into
than
the
it
swimming
is-
pool, but I'm
Yeah,
about
do
to.
it.
Wait a minute, Lee's trying to.
Go ahead,
I
Lee.
am
Go ahead, Lee.
implacably opposed to selling railroad.
Oh, yeah, but we're not talking about the.
Yeah, that's off the table,
That's off
Lee.
the table.
Then what are you talking about with A and B?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. What they wanna do is they wanna be able to get the ground cover percentage credit by giving us the bottom 2 lots, convey it to the town, and then their property stops at the railroad. However, they get a ground cover percentage credit
Yeah.
on their main lot that is facing Low Beach Road.
That's gonna be a fun ZBA application.
But John, I see this as a win for everyone somehow. I'm not saying they should get 50% ground cover out of this. I'm just saying.
Well,
the
again, so
town-
there's,
This is
Has
good
anybody
land.
calculated what the ground cover
Yeah, I
number would be?
What's the
it's
zoning up
close to
there?
an acre. Like, it's more than an acre, it's a couple acres.
Wait a
I
minute, wait,
think.
wait a minute,
Wait,
hold
So
on.
they could fill their lot.
Wait,
That's
they
square
get it,
built.
they
Yeah,
get
but-
it.
Is each of these an acre? I can't read it.
Almost, I think.
Oh, so you got almost 2 acres of land total in what they would be given up or
I
something?
was looking it up on GIS.
But this is the biggest lot, which is good.
Yeah, the house lot is almost an acre and a half. The one
That's good.
due south of the railroad bed is a shade under an acre, and the
Yeah.
one closest to the beach is a little over an acre, according to GIS.
So it's gonna be, it's tricky on a number of levels, there are a lot of components to work out. But it would be, if we can work it out, there is some advantages to the town. Especially with the
What?
sewer beds
Yeah, that's
being
what I'm
right next
thinking
to
of.
it. It has, you know,
Well, let me ask this question. What's the current ground cover square footage allowed? And what would it, if they got everything they wanted, what would it become?
What's the zoning? I can tell
yeah,
you what it is.
I
You
don't even
what the
know.
Zoning is there, John?
I
I
can
don't
tell you.
actually know.
It's- Believe it or not, it's lug three.
SR 20?
Yeah, I think it's lug three.
I think it's
Oh,
like
is
three
it?
too, yeah.
Oh, then this is nothing then.
So it's
They're in-
lug
they're in
three, so
store.
back of the napkin. I think that they're probably allowed a max of about 2,000, maybe,
Yeah,
give or
yeah,
take right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And if they were able to incorporate all the land
This is
area,
like Tom, just think of this as Tom Nevis. Tracy.
it's like 3,600.
That's what we got here.
Yeah,
I didn't
no, I-
realize it was like
It would,
three.
it would become
Same as
3,600 or adding 3,600?
It would become there, I
Yeah,
think,
that's
again,
a
back of the
no.
napkin, I wanna say it'd
Yeah, yeah.
become about 3,600.
But back of the nap, I haven't heard that. That's a good one, John. Where'd you get that from? Richard or?
I was gonna say, you know, I do
Leftover
work
from
with Mr.
Jimmy?
Wood, right?
All right,
Always do novels.
so, okay, so think of it this way. Think of lug one with an oversized lot in the sewer district. That's all you're looking at. I mean, this isn't that big of a deal. The only thing is, though, John, is what are the other lots? How many lots are there on the left side of, I can't think exactly. There's about like 6 or 7
Of,
properties
on these other,
on the
yeah,
other
so,
side of the
so
road.
those other
I mean, on that side of
properties,
the road.
so those other properties went out for RFP. They have paper roads in between
know
them
they
too, but it did not go with the railroad bed. They went out for RFP and they've all been conveyed their situations. So that's what made me think there was something going on with this, because why didn't it get included?
Did anybody else in this neighborhood have this exact situation?
No. No, because the others have the sewer beds below them.
Yeah, so
And-
there's
and then
already
the
other
railroad
town
bed
land
and the
right
sewer
on it.
bed.
Okay. So, I mean, what do they want for ground cover? What do they must have a plan. for
I mean, they
ground cover.
want as much as they want, but there's some complicated, there's some more complicated things going on. So I have, town council writing an opinion on the zoning.
So can I chime in for a second? I don't, Nat, I think the catch is that I don't think they have a plan. I don't think I think it's that they're trying to capture as much ground cover as possible without having an idea of what they're going to do with it. I'm reading
Well, it
between
raises the value of the property.
reading between the lines, I think Mrs. Cloutier is going to be selling soon.
Yeah, well, that was my next statement. And I'm okay with that. Since we
Yeah.
adopt the tax rolls every day around here, I'm totally fine with that. But the fact that the town gets that land is big, especially
Well, it
where
only
it is.
gets one lot.
No, we would
two.
get two in the new, in the new proposal, we would get two.
Sorry.
No, it's weird, but she said that originally. I thought.
No,
she
in the
said
new
that's-
proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
fine,
that's
okay.
what they're proposing.
They're
Thank
trying
you.
to make that, I'm just throwing LUG 1 in there because kind of like that's what it's gonna be.
Mhm.
It's gonna be like between LUG 1 and R40 theoretically, if we can give them like 7% of what is it, acre and a half, you said?
Yeah.
So it's like
something that.
60,000 square feet, give or take. I mean, that's a lot of ground cover. But there's tons of properties on this island that benefit from that without us doing a thing. And the biggest one I love talking about is Gosnold and Hinckley.
Mhm.
All R20, big, huge, gigantic lots with 12.5%. It's like scary,
Mhm.
nobody even realizes it. So this is just creating it's a bonus for a buildable lot that's in sewer and water. And the town gets all that land. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, so
honestly. Just how much you give, you
think
can't
that
give
it's-
them like
well,
20%.
and then there's the legal part of it. Can it be actually done? And then there's the RFP part of it. So there's some
Well, the
hurdles.
ZBA could take care of the variance side of it. I mean, we're gonna be talking
Yeah, but
about,
that would open a can of worms. I mean, that would.
Why?
Cause it's, you're increasing the square footage. I mean, that's it's a trade for a trade for a trade.
but, okay. Town council.
So.
That's what I was gonna
Can't
say.
change the zoning for one lot, legally, but we have we have the opposite in Town Nevis. We have a lug 3 overlay district in theory,
Right.
with 4 different lot sizes out in Town Nevis, and there's 4, not 3.
Yep.
4, because you got the 4.5 acre lots, there's about 12 or 15 of them,
I mean,
then you got the 120s, then you get the 50s, and then you get the 10s.
Yeah.
so, the owner is struggling. I do believe, I wished, let me just say this.
Yeah.
In the whole year, nobody contacted me about this.
Yeah.
So, and then they just filed the ZBA application. So I wasn't happy about that because I really do, I agree. I think that there are some serious benefits to the town if we can make this work somehow. And it could be very mutually beneficial for them, for all of us,
Next to the
really.
barracks thing.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, that's even
So
better.
I do want to make it work. there are some hurdles. So this is
So-
just a preview. Really,
That's
it's-
good.
That-
this
So
isn't
that's-
I like that.
necessarily anything to vote on. It was just. a
That's what I was getting at. Okay, cool. So. all right. So
They
this is-
have extended their
meeting.
ZBA application, another month. It was
Good.
originally on the 10th. And, I'm hoping to have the town council opinion, I believe, is gonna go to me and Leslie. And,
You haven't explained that, Tracy. So, yeah. No, she's going in the right direction.
Yeah,
I get
no.
what you're saying.
and then, in the meantime, let's hope we can get a proposal. And maybe at next month's meeting, then
I'd
I'll
be-
have a
I'd be
proposal to
interested.
share.
I'd be interested to see what that opinion was on council.
Well, that's why I ordered it, because it,
We should have first of all, ground cover, let's call it a bonus for that, like a bonus. That is getting discussed with deed restricted year-round properties and all that stuff as part of all that program, which is a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Ground cover is free, ground cover doesn't cost anything. Problem is legally, how do you grant a ground cover change within the same zoning district? I think that there's a way to do that, and I just don't know what that is.
It's a
People are-
variance.
People think we do it at meetings, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
It's a-
funny. But there's gotta be a way to do that. And we should be looking at this. Not just for this property, but there's gonna be cases like we just dealt with with the McKays, which is a really odd, real strange situation that they have. That I don't think I've ever seen before. I've been doing this since 2007, I've never seen it. But this is in the reverse. This is where they've got all this sand, I'm not gonna call it dirt, I'm gonna call it sand. And they can't build on it, to be totally honest with you, it's almost like it's unbuildable on this in some ways. I like the idea of this aggregate ground cover conceptual, but it has to be a formula. It can't just be, you get
right,
3
Okay, that's-
acres of,
yeah,
I mean, you could create it this way, though, you could say.
Right.
If it's lug 3, take 120,000 square feet. At 3%,
Yep.
that's what lug
Yeah.
3 is, and then give that front lot. That number,
okay,
okay, which I think John already kind of did in his head at 3,600,
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
probably something like that.
yeah. I
So
get
like,
that.
if you had, now this is the part that's kind of funny, is you take a lug 3 lot that's in the sewer and water district, we don't even have one on the island. This would be it. So they would end up with. Like they have a 3 acre lot that's in sewer and water.
Right,
It's not like creating a different district. But in the case of this, though. Oh. God, I mean, think of it as wetlands,
well, so
and if they get the
the question
ground
is
cover.
it wetlands?
No, but I'm talking about, we just had some stuff up in Monomoy like this, where they jiggled the lot lines around because of the wetlands regulations to pair up the ground cover, cause it was all on one lot. And the other lot didn't have any ground cover and they needed to jiggle it around.
Mhm.
I look at this as sort of similar to that, too, is where you've got this huge piece of land separated by these roads. In the riverbed, which is not gonna get touched, no matter how. You could put the biggest sledgehammer in the world, that's not gonna happen. At the same time, though, they own this land and they have for how long? That's another issue. So I think there's a way to get to a number. It
I do
can't go above the 3% of the total square footage of 3 lots together, though, in my opinion. That would be ridiculous. You can't
Plus
give them
paper
that
street.
much. Huh?
Plus paper.
Yeah, well, are the paper streets calculated into the ground cover?
That's what they
Yeah,
want.
I
Is that what they
believe,
want?
I
Well, I mean,
believe
I
so.
think they may be premature to say that. I think my like little formula is gonna give them plenty of ground cover.
And then the
For an
only,
acre and a half of land.
the only other thing about this is, so on that, let's call it the west side, I guess, I'm not even looking at the. There is an easement that is, I believe runs to Canterbury. And it's exclusive to them. And so.
Was that from 73 when it
It was,
originally
yeah,
got done?
before
Give or
it was
take.
subdivided
I
and
saw
everything.
it. Oh my God.
So.
Okay.
So that would that would stay, obviously, it's there. And so the question was, because that's exclusive to them, that isn't public.
Yeah,
Right.
they gotta give that up.
And
That's
so,
crazy.
so, and they don't, if we give them parcel 10, we would, if we were going to run a pedestrian easement down to the beach on that side, it would have to go in that parcel 10 and 16 kind of. Because the other side has already been conveyed. So sometimes they straddle it between the 2 yard sale
Definitely wanna
parcels,
get something like that. What is?
but it would be
Prospect?
better to
This
like,
side? This side?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So it would, I think, be better if we could somehow utilize the existing easement, pedestrian easement, and just,
Hmm.
you know, rope that in as
Turn that
well.
into like a chapter 91 type thing.
So make it public for everybody,
Yeah.
not exclusive to Canterbury.
I like that. No, the Canterbury thing could be extended. That Richard Graham on that property, that was
I know.
1973.
So that's it. That's kind of the nuts and bolts of the thing.
Easy.
But no, this is a great conversation. This is like a preliminary plan.
Yeah.
Board meeting for
It's-
pay.
I'm
This
making,
is
yeah,
like crazy. But I mean, it's the right way to talk about it. Something has to happen here for them, because there's too much benefit for the town and the public at the same time. Plus, I forgot about it's where the barracks are. And there's always something going on down there, and there's been a lot of accretion out here.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know that, but there was a lot of erosion, all of a sudden it switched. And now there's a lot of accretion. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's,
I
you know,
do have the,
gonna
I
wash
do
away
have the
tomorrow.
coastal
And then you
assessment.
said- And then there was discussion or you mentioned one big beach.
So
Well,
that
that's
was
what
part
she
of the
needs.
original, but I think that's off the table now because we wouldn't
don't
need
need
it. We wouldn't need it.
this is not in that type of. there's nothing
Especially
going
if we put
swimming
the
out there either.
pedestrian and we have the bottom lots, then.
Getting the
there's nothing.
town,
Just asking.
getting the
Yeah.
town control of those 2 lots is a big deal.
No, and the one big
My
beach never seemed to come together. I don't know what happened with it, but it just never seemed to come
But
together.
that's not a place that is
Yeah,
traveled. People aren't, going down there with beach towels and
Right.
coolers down there.
but
Not
people
only that,
do walk,
Not only that, but you got the sewer bed entrance and
Yeah.
run.
I like the walkability,
Lots down.
the path part, the town land, for future or whatever could or couldn't happen. And the sewer beds, that's significant. If this was in Surfside, right next to the sewer bed, guess what we'd be doing?
Mhm.
That would be moving to the front of the line in 2 seconds, I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
all right.
Just very quickly, where is the vehicle pathway down to the beach? Is it on Coast Guard land or is it to the east?
No, it's.
Oh,
to
that's
the east.
before that, before this, John, Lee,
It's about
To
3 or
the-
4
to the
lots
east.
before this.
yeah. Yeah, good question though, by the way.
Yeah.
By Lee.
good.
No, that's like 3 or 4 lots to the.
So
to the
Lee,
right.
where the barrack housing summer stuff is to the south of this lot.
Yeah,
And the thing you're talking about is, I don't know how many parcels up, but it's before this.
It's way before.
Yeah, I know what he means. There's a place, people just drive down
It's
there. and park.
before the sewer beds, Lee.
Yeah.
Um,
Jesus. this is unbelievable. I didn't know anything about this.
Nor did I.
I mean, just because my name's on that plan don't mean I know about it. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
One, two,
Plausible deniability, Nat, we like
You
it.
know, whatever.
it's 3 lots up.
All right, so to be continued, we'll wait for town council. This is a good
Yeah.
ongoing debate. I'm glad, or discussion. I'm glad
Not
I'm
ready.
glad we're talking about this now instead of bringing this up for the first time next month in front of zoning, right before zoning board. So at least we, this is,
Well, and if we can pull
Good
together a
discussion.
proposal and we can kind of, it's all unregistered. And,
That's-
we already have the taking in
Right, and
place.
more
It's
control.
not something we have to delay in any way. We can,
right.
if we
It's a
can,
path, though. We gotta find. a
Yeah.
path.
right,
Right.
this is really
then
would
it-
be about the disposal, and we would have to do the RFP. It's too much to, not do that.
What is the cost for what's the fee? You said it was $7 or something.
772 or something.
Okay, but we have to find out, sorry, Tom.
What would be the price of, if they got what they wanted,
Well, I think we have to isolate how much square footage they're talking about, and then like Nat said, if we do come up with a formula, maybe it plays into that somehow. I don't know.
My formula is good, now that I understand what the hell is going on. I didn't realize it was leg 3 down there. I think we threw this into leg 3 because it was not, we didn't want it to be overdeveloped. And we kind of probably shouldn't have done that, probably should have been leg 2, but that's another story. Hindsight is always 20/20, but we have this formula already here in Tom Nevers without sewer and water.
Right.
So I'm kind of looking at this as a way to say 3%, we're not changing it, but to carry that 3% up to that front lot. Now, if that front lot was only an acre,
Yeah,
we would have to not give them that much. I mean, that's silly. It will look like a compound of downtown and mixed into all this other land. And you
Well,
gotta remember too, John, as you know, lots of things don't count against ground cover, so whatever their plans. I think what they wanna do with this property is sell it with all this benefit, which I get,
sure.
okay? But I see this as no different than leaving those 4-acre lots for the compound people to buy. Because we didn't wanna let them subdivide them, and here we go, we got these gigantic, the 2 of them now just got finished this last couple of years. And you go there and it's like you could drive one end of the property to the other inside all the internal driveways because it's so big. So in this case, it's kind of reverse, is they have all this land, it's in a good place for benefit. It's not eroding tomorrow,
right.
that's important. And I
do
think
have,
that- I think there's a good win for everybody with this.
Just wanted I do have the coastal resilience and,
Well,
but
just
to your
remember
point,
40
it's
just
not
remember
eroding.
41 Jefferson's not in the flood zone, and neither is Codfish Park. So I rest my case with that stuff. Codfish Park is not in the flood zone. You can't make it up. They're digging a huge foundation. Did you see that foundation down the end? You gotta drive down there, yeah.
Really? So somebody's going.
Oh, yeah.
All right, any
Wow.
further discussion on this or, to be continued?
Yes, this is just, do we need a motion for that in this?
I don't think so.
I
We're
don't
not-
think we do.
This is
Not-
informal.
This
wasn't
is
on the
just,
agenda.
Just kind of an update. You know?
discussion, right?
It was
Yeah.
just for discussion and then, and kind of, so we can do it in pieces so that when I come with
You
a
know what-
proposal, it'll be, you'll know what I'm talking
You
about.
you know what else too, Tracy, back to the whole starting from scratch. This is a great exercise in learning as this committee gets more,
Mhm.
diverse with different things. Cause there could be more of these somewhere. There could be some stuff like this in Quidnet. There's certainly parcels of land that go all the way from Cliff Road down to the water, which people don't realize that. And it's like goofy stuff, things that we can do bartering. To get everybody wins situation. This is a good one. So
So this is your fun React meeting for the year.
I love it.
I'm doing something. No, No, it's good. It's very interesting, and I think these were two kind of ones in the, interim of leading up to town meeting where I, not gonna
Yeah.
be doing any yard sales on April 30th, so it was good to get this on and get the preliminary done, and then we'll see where we're at next month.
But this is the only property owner on that side of the road that has a situation like this.
Mhm.
That's key. It's not like we've done it with somebody else, but they had other ones that had tons.
No,
The last one was the one, I know Sarah was on that one, I think. That it had a whole bunch of roads, just a mess of roads, and it was never. Finally got done recently. I just don't remember the name, but. It was before I was on React. I just
Okay.
remember that being insane, getting that done. But anyway, okay.
All right, so does anyone have any other business at this point? Yes, Lee.
As we move to adjourn, I just wanted to be recognized. I did not give you a 20-minute discourse on the history of the railroad on its way to Wisconsin.
Not this time, next time.
Next time.
We'll put you on the agenda for that one.
When Earl Coffin pointed it out to me.
Okay,
Love that.
so Tracy, I assume we're gonna have a meeting in May.
yes, I hope so, yes.
Okay, we'll check on availability for that, but in the meantime, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made, is there a second? Second from Lee, all right, let's do a roll call vote. Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Lee Saperstein,
Aye.
Thomas Barata,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well. All right,
Over and out.
thank you all.
John, next meeting would be the Monday no, it'd be the Monday of town meeting.
We'll see. I don't know, we'll see.
Okay, we may want to have two in April.
Okay.
No, we're not gonna have two in April. We'll, I was thinking May 12th, but,
We'll
There's
send
one
out an
argument that
email.
says after town meeting is a good thing because then we can deal with any actions that were taken there. The other is before town meeting so that they can have our report. I'll leave it to the chair.
All right, well, we'll be in touch about it, and Tracy and I will connect, and we'll send everyone an email.
Okay,
Thanks,
You're
everyone.
recording.
Yeah. Oh, I got it.
cherry bye.